So then, that's how they found it, because they'll have it on the system. Everything, any internet, nothing. There's no way to communicate. Nothing. Nobody in around. Yeah. You know, you never know when you come in and out. Like it's like always like a surprise. Like, oh, okay. So if you're renting it, then it's straight out too.
Ma. Ma.
Are you calling me?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, Nick?
Nothing.
Oh, I think yeah.
Ah. Ooh, fuck. I fucking hate working out.
You hate working out?
Ah. Okay. I was lonely on the road and the people to stay me and I'm a 9 and I'm a 9 and I'm money 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 and I'm money. Man, this is so fucking tedious. The one thing about editing photos, this shit is fucking tedious, man. Like I just so desperately want to have something on the other screen to watch, but it's just gonna slow me down. I'm gonna fall behind. I'm not gonna be productive, and I'm not gonna be happy with how much I get done in a day. And as much as I want to feed into my fried dopamine receptors, it's just not a good idea. Even music can be dangerous because, like, I don't care what anyone says, music can be addicting. And the reason I say that is because I am addicted to listening to music. Like my Spotify, if I looked at my Spotify Wrapped, I actually don't know if they'll still let me see that, but how do I see? I'm getting distracted, but this will be 2 seconds. How to find the amount of minutes you've listened to Spotify. You can see your Spotify listening minutes through Spotify Wrapped in December, or by using a third-party app like Stats FM. Okay, let's see. Oh, fuck, what's my username? Oh, I didn't fix my white balance. Oh my god! Hey there, I am using Stats FM. I don't wanna post that. Okay, how do I see my minutes? Don't tell me I have to upgrade. I will. Minutes. No, it's not what I want. What the fuck is the point? How do I see my minutes? Wasting time. See, this is what happens. This is the curse of having a second screen. Oh. It doesn't give me my total minute. I got scammed. I just logged into a fucking third-party website. Oh my god. Get me out. Oh my god, they're gonna hack my account. Where's my Wrapped? Listening stats. Whoa. This just gives me the same thing as Stats FM, bro. Oh my god. Anyways, this year, or 2025, I got 89,000 minutes of music listened, which I think is a whole month. Oh, 2 months, actually. Yeah. 2 months of straight listening to music. Okay, now let's get back to work. I forgot to wrap the conversation up, but my point being, music can be an addiction, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I swear to God, like, I'm not even kidding. If I had to sit down and edit a video, obviously I can't listen to music while I'm doing that, but it would be hard for me to sit down and focus because, like this last year especially, I've just been so used to listening to music while I work. It's become so habitual. That was a fancy word. It's become so habitual that I couldn't get myself to like sit down and just focus. Like I needed music or something. And then I would actually play music sometimes while I edit. Like I would have, and then whenever I need to listen to audio cues, I would mute the song. It was bad. It was bad because I need to stop listening to it in the car. I need to stop listening to it while I shower, while I'm literally just eating. Like it was so bad. I'm not giving myself time to just think. Like, just sit down and think. Sit with your thoughts. Just be comfortable with yourself. And I think that was the biggest thing, is I just wasn't letting myself get comfortable being bored. I was too scared of being bored. And then it was a bad habit. Yeah, so music can be an addiction. Spotify can be an addiction. It's not as bad as something like Instagram or YouTube, but creating playlists, finding new artists, you can easily sing a couple of a couple hours into doing that in a day. And you just have to be careful with things. Wow, I'm really rambling. You just have to be careful with things that you're not doing consciously. And that goes for anything, but, like I said, Spotify or Apple Music can be one of those things that you just go on unconsciously because it's comfortable to you. I do miss just sitting in the car without listening to music. I think it honestly takes a lot of pressure off of yourself because you're not feeding into whatever the emotion of the song you're listening to is. You're just, you're letting everything that happened in the day or the day before or the day before that kind of sink in. And you're getting settled with those thoughts that maybe you haven't had the time to give to yourself. And I'm sure, as you can tell, that is there's extreme overcomplication of. It's crazy that I've thought about that this much. Like right now, it's been 15 minutes, and all I can think about is watching a video right now while I work. The withdrawals are just brutal, man. It's not hard to not watch a video. It's not hard to just get rid of that thought, but it's hard to stay conscious enough all the time to not accidentally just flip a video on. And that's the part I'm battling with, is I'm trying to get rid of that voice in my head that's asking me to take 5 minutes and watch a video. It's never just 5 minutes. It's never just 5 minutes. It has never been just 5 minutes. I know this has been talked about before. I'm sure I remember seeing a book that I wanted to get about it, but deep focus, deep focus, and the importance of deep focus when you're working. And I watched a fan-made documentary on John Mayer. It was a phenomenal documentary. Honestly, very, very inspiring to know that one person made it. It's called Someday I'll Fly. Eastwood Allen. Crazy name, by the way. That is a sick name. There's something John Mayer says in the documentary that when I first watched it, it sat with me, and the second time, third time I watched it, it just sat with me. It's very true because it's the exact thing I had a very hard time with whenever I've worked on longer projects of my own, and that is, I'm saying this because I think it's something everyone has to deal with at some point, and it's kind of the next hump. I think when you're trying to get to another threshold of your skill set and break through, and not necessarily break through, but just get to the next part of your career, I think it's the thing you're going to have to deal with, and you're going to have to find out how to solve it. It's something eventually I think I'm going to run into again. I think something like the most debilitating thing can be working on something you know is good, because then every step of the process has to maintain that vision and maintain that expectation of the whole of it becoming great. I'm trying to maintain a certain expectation and level of quality. It is really challenging to work on something like that, because you think about it, like every step is going to be 10 times longer than what it usually takes you, because you're constantly working and revising and refining, and then you're going to work, revise, and refine, and make changes along the way. And what scares me about getting back into documentary is that exactly, because at what point is it good enough? At what point do you stop? At what point, is it going to burn you out? Is it going to hurt you in the long run? Are you going to get frustrated? Are you going to get tired of working on the project? Are you going to, it's a lot to deal with something like that. It's a very demanding process, and it's not like a physically demanding process. It's not like you're welding or being an ironsmith, that kind of demanding, but it's mentally demanding in the sense that creativity is not something that always comes to you. It's not something that always finds you, or it's not something that you can always achieve and find greatness or perfection in. Very rarely, in fact. It's not how it works, but through that process you have to really push it out of you and try to find that, so that you can maintain the quality of a project you're working on. And that is very stressful. That exact roadblock is kind of what stopped me in the first place, and my hope is that once I find my feet again and get to work on it again and get to find myself in that world again, is that I have a better understanding and a better sense of calmness to handle it. Because at the end of the day, it's all just overthinking. It all comes from overcomplicating and making things messier than they need to be. The truth is, you just have to finish it. You just have to finish it. There's a time and place to be a perfectionist, but just finish it. I could talk about this forever, but there's a certain threshold where you're not benefiting from working on something anymore, or what you're learning kind of starts to dwindle compared to the amount of time you're putting in, and it's up to you to recognize whether that process is worth it at that point, if it's worth to keep refining and perfecting because the project is asking that of you, or if it's something you just need to finish and move on from. I subscribe to the school of work until it's perfect, but I know, as proven by everything I've ever worked on, if you want to work like that, you can't give up. And I think that's where the difference between me and someone that it really is special, that's where the gap is that they just didn't give up. There was no point, they stopped. Even if it was frustrating, even if working on it was draining, even if it took away from them, even if it took a couple of years off their life, they didn't stop. And they were able to finish it, and they were able to move on to the next thing. They got over that hump, you know? Try your hardest, do your best. And remember, one day at a time. Take a deep breath. It can get overwhelming, but take a deep breath. Everything works out only if you put the effort in to make it work out. If that makes sense. I think where a lot of people go wrong, even the ones that are successful, is that they neglect their health, they neglect their longevity for the sake of pounding their head against the wall to get a project done. And I know there are times you just have to do that. I know there are times where you just can't afford balance, and that's not an option. And it will ask everything of you, every hour of your day, every minute of your time, you know, no family, no friends, and all that stuff. I know that. But it's important to have a foundation where your health is first. Yeah, maybe you don't have the time to work out, but that's not an excuse to order food. You cannot afford those excuses if you want to... There's a version of life where you can be successful and you don't have to give up your health for the sake of it. It's so incredibly hard to have that because it literally is everything you have to get there. It is everything you have to achieve that, but you just have to stay committed to it. It's not always possible. But like I said yesterday, life gets in the way, it doesn't give you permission to give up. Excuses will come your way. They are going to find their way to you. And it's really about, hey, maybe I don't need that cookie. Maybe I don't need to reward myself with a chocolate bar. Maybe I don't need to reward myself and skip the gym. Maybe my snack is an apple instead of something in the pantry. It's just, it is small things like that. That is the life I am chasing, and hopefully with enough time through this, through consistency, I will get there. Hopefully by the end of this whole thing, I have a couple of things under my belt that I'm really proud of. And I am living to see the other side healthy. That would be the dream. I will leave it at that. I have to go on tonight, so I need to focus. So I'm going to call it there. Alright. Ciao.